Okay, so now we made it to 4.5 section. We're going to learn about methods in this particular section. So let's get into it. All right, so now we're in 4.5 methods. So we are continuing to build upon our knowledge and adding more tools to our tool chest. So let's get into the curriculum. 4.5 rather, methods. 4.5.1, calling methods on objects. A method is a function that belongs to a class. In Java, all procedures must be part of a class. Let's revisit our Hello World class. So let's go back over to old Hello World. Okay, so inside of our Hello World class, we have public class Hello World, private string, which is our actual high-level object or our instant variable. And then we have our void say hello world, and we're printing out the message, right? There is one method in this class, say hello. So I have it down here already commented out. So I'm going to comment that back in. And in order to call this method, we must have an object created from the Hello World class template. In other words, we must have an instance of Hello World. Here's how you can call on an object. Here we have the Hello World, and then we have the instance new Hello World, and then we say hello.say hello. So if I go over here to my runner, and we already have that one already there. So let me comment that out. And let's see what I need to comment. What is the error telling me? I think it's because, let me run it. It's always good to run your project just to see what errors you're getting. Constructor Hello World class. Hello World cannot be, let me see what it's saying. Cannot be found. Hello World cannot be applied to given required java.lang. Which one is it telling me? All right, so let me go back over here. I can't get access to it because I don't have, do I have a getter and setter set up on this one? All right, so that's the getter message. Anything commented out over here besides that? Nope, nothing is commented out, but it's telling me I have a related problem. And I think, let me look at here. Sometimes they give us solutions. If I remove this from the constructor, the first parameter from the constructor, hello world. So what it's telling me on my constructor right here, if I remove the first parameter, which is the string message, I believe this is what it's talking about. If I remove that, it's saying that it may work. So let me see. It's always good to play around with stuff just to see. Let me see what this is giving me. Nope, that's not it. That's not what my problem is. Let me put that back. And so let me see, is it giving me hello? Let's see what the other option is. All right, so it's a created constructor. That's a dummy constructor. Oh, okay, here we go. All right, so right here, as you can see, I have that's where my error is coming from. It said expected 1 arguments, but found 0 because I'm not passing anything in here. So according to my hello world, basically what it's telling me here is that let me go ahead and let me drop that down. Let me comment that out. And then, so I have my getter and setter. So according to this, in my hello world class, all I need is to say hello world. So let me go ahead and comment this one out. All right, so I'm gonna comment that one, comment this one, and then let me see here. So all I have left over here. All right, so because I'm not using this one, let me go ahead and comment this out. All right, and so now let me run it. There we go. So I just had to remove a few things and comment some stuff out to get this thing to work. So there we go. So notice here that all we have to do is say hello world. That's according to our instructions. Now, it is not possible to call say hello without having a hello world object. This begins to make more sense when you note that the message field is used within say hello. And unless we are calling say hello on an instantiated object, there will be no message field available to print. Notice, as mentioned before, class members should have the most restrictive level of access possible. This goes for methods as well as fields. For example, if you create a utility method that should only be used within your class, then it should be private. You can think of private methods as those that are not useful outside of the class, but that can contribute internally to helping the class behave as desired or expected. That's why you would use a private method if it's only useful for that particular class. But if you need it to be able to be used outside of that particular class, then you want to make it public. But that's where our job comes in as developer. We need to know how things are supposed to work, and we need to know what output we are expecting. So here we go. We have 4.5.2. Instant methods. So far, we have only looked at an example of methods that are relatively specialized. Constructors, getters, and setters. Every class you create will have these methods. What will make your classes different from each other and thus fulfill the purpose of creating each class are the specific behaviors that are unique to your classes. Let's say we want to add a method in our student class that reports the GPA of a student. This method is an instance method since it will belong to each student object created and will use the data of each student object. So let me go back over to our student class. Let me get rid of that. So here, let's look at our example now. So we still have our getters and setters commented out on line 28 here. And here we have our instance variables declared at the top. And then we have our constructor, student name, our students. And then we have on this particular student is breaking down where we have all this, the student name, the student ID, the number of credits, and the GPA. So that's all set up for us right here on line 9 and 14 in my IntelliJ. Then we have an overload. So we know we have a constructor overloading. So we overloaded this constructor inside this class with another constructor name. We have actually 3 altogether. This time on the second one, we just have the string name and student ID. Remember the use case here. The first one is for an initial student, or the first one is for if we had an student exchange that already has a GPA and number of credits already. The second constructor is for a new student. Then we have this third one right here, that third constructor, which it has this name and next student ID, which we'll explain in a minute. And then we have this helper function string, student info, which basically is telling us an instance method. So let's look at this here. We have this instant method right here, which we call student info. Remember that this is a constructor, right? And this is an instant method. So let me go ahead and add these two to my code. I'm adding those to my code, and then I want to label this one so I can know what an instant method looks like. So I have that instant method, and you notice here in this instant method, it returns this .name, which what does this represent? This represents all of these instant variables at the top, plus has a GPA of this .GPA. So I'm getting access to these instant variables. That's why I'm using the this keyword. Now here, we'll go over this later on, this constructor, where we just get the name of the actual student. So in the student info, I have the name and then the next student ID. So, and then we're incrementing, meaning that it's going to increase it, so, or update it. And we'll go over that right here. We will make sure of the instant methods more in the next chapter. So in the next chapter, we'll go over instant methods. However, we wanted to share more about them now in our first conversation about classes. Sometimes when we create a class, we will need that class to have more behaviors than using only constructors. Setters, getters, can be provided. When we do want to add additional behaviors to our classes, we can use instance methods. So let me read that again. When we do want to add additional behaviors to our classes, we can use instant methods. All right. So I want you to check your understanding. We made it to the end of this particular section. Okay. We just got one more to go before you can go back and take your time to go throughout the chapter again before you attempt the exercises. And so now remember, the more you practice, the more you improve. All right, see you in the next video.